Darla sneaks off to Buffy's house. I guess the three reported where she lives. And that's why you don't lead vampires straight home. Darla tells Joyce that she's a friend of Buffy's and secures an invite. Darla is not the right one to let in. Her presence is a violation into Buffy's safe space. Angel goes to the house to talk to Buffy, and he runs inside when Joyce screams. Darla drank from Joyce, but not enough to kill her, and she hands Joyce to Angel. Angel reacts to the proximity of a victim by vamping out. Darla welcomes him back into the vampire club and leaves. But Angel doesn't give in. He resists his instincts to feed. With the rape metaphor, it's kind of like a guy getting turned on by a passed-out woman, but it's just a physical reaction and he's in control of himself. It kind of gives him sexy bad boy appeal with the element of safety. And then, of course, Buffy comes in at the worst possible moment. Buffy throws him through the window and tells him to never come back. She calls 911, and the hospital is able to save Joyce. Joyce tells all she remembers of what happened, with Buffy's friend coming over, and she doesn't specify which friend this is. She saw Angel earlier, so everyone assumes that she means Angel. The Scoobies discuss, and though Willow tells Buffy to spare someone that she has feelings for, she agrees with Xander and Giles that she needs to kill Angel. Angel is an especially powerful vampire, so she needs a powerful weapon, her crossbow. While Buffy gears up to hunt Angel, Darla urges Angel to kill Buffy, seducing him over to the dark side. He reacts with anger and aggression, but that works for her. She wants to encourage his violent side. There's also a kind of anti-BDSM aspect to this outburst. Angel pins Darla's hands above her head in a manner evocative of rough sex, which I think is a hint that they're former lovers. Darla says that he's hurting her as if to demand that he stop, but instead says it's good. This would imply that she's masochistic and Angel's sadistic, which is consistent with later portrayal.
So tell me, why do they call you Spanky?
I'm a big Our Gang fan.
That's what I figured.
The BDSM here is associated with the evilness of vampires. I'm a masochist. I consider it part of my sexual orientation, and I don't like an essential part of my being associated with evil demons. BDSM has often been misunderstood, and there are some branches of second-wave feminism that became really adamantly against it when BDSMers started to become more vocal in the 1970s, with the sexual revolution. What is often considered the death of second-wave feminism came with puritanical radical feminists joining forces with conservative political groups, in the effort to ban things like BDSM, pornography, sex work, and other things considered to be of an immoral sexual nature. Rebellion against these ideologies formed the sex-positive ideology of the third wave. As I've said, while Buffy the Vampire Slayer is adored by the third wave, it was made by second wavers. While I don't think Joss is especially puritanical, I think he came from a puritanical culture, both in his Christian and radical feminist upbringing, and that this move to make BDSM associated with evil vampires wasn't well thought out. A lot of offense comes from just not thinking things through. Anyway, Joyce chats to Giles, and she talks about how her fainting must have scared Darla, Buffy's friend. Giles realizes that Darla attacked Joyce and not Angel, and this is meaningful to him. More than wanting to warn Buffy, I think he honestly wants to give Angel a second chance, despite his traditionalist background. He organizes Xander and Willow to reach Buffy and tell her this new information. At the same time, Buffy goes angel hunting with her crossbow. Her search leads her to the Bronze, currently closed for fumigation. Angel tries to get her to kill him so that he could commit suicide by Slayer, but she realizes that he isn't actually trying to hurt her, and while not giving up trying to kill him, she does take the opportunity to rant at him. Angel explains that he was an evil serial killer for 100 years. He killed his family and countless others and loved every moment of it. And then he fed off of the wrong girl.
The favorite among her clan.
Her clan?
The Romani. Gypsies.
The Romani as an ethnic group consider the word gypsy to be a slur. It references how they are mistakenly believed to have come from Egypt when they actually came from India and Pakistan. The Romani receive a lot of racist hate in Europe and throughout the world. That hate is associated with this word that the outside world uses to describe them. It is a sad fact that they are most often known by this slur, necessitating use of it for basic communication with people who don't know the names of the ethnic groups involved. But everyone should try to use it as little as possible because of its offensive nature. Buffy the Vampire Slayer here uses the proper name Romani and the ethnic slur for communication. It is sometimes praised for including the proper name and indicating that Buffy is ignorant for only knowing the false name. However, the false name is not indicated to be an offensive ethnic slur, so I don't think it's really that good of a portrayal. And though the slur is just used for communication this time, later references to this incident only use the slur as the label, and don't seem to recognize Romanis as real people so much as fairy tale characters that they can write however they want.
What's in Romania? Gypsies.
The gypsies are filthy people, and we shall speak of them no more.
So Angel ate the Romani girl, and the elders cursed him out of vengeance. The way the Buffyverse mythology works is that the guy who's made into a vampire dies, his soul leaves his body, and a demon takes its place. The body is then animated by a demon. The body still has the human brain, so there are personality traits and memories of the person it was, but the demon has an urge to kill and dominate without a conscience. The vampire called Angel or Angelus killed countless people for years and years and years, until he was cursed with a soul. And suddenly he felt guilt for years of mass murdering. To be a vampire who cares is the worst punishment ever. Angel says that he hasn't fed on anyone since then, and that the Joyce thing was a misunderstanding. Despite this, he considers himself a monster and wants Buffy to kill him. He describes how he felt the urge to kill her, and even though he didn't go through with it, he's a monster, not a man. There's a sexual metaphor there. It's like a boy feeling the urge to have sex with a girl but holding back on it. A lot of men feel like they have a monster inside of them because of their sexual urges, and representing this with a transformation into a literal monster goes way back. Buffy thinks that Angel has control of the beast inside of him, and she puts down her crossbow, walks over to him, and offers her neck. The fact that he claims guilt in general and desires death makes the claim of innocence for that one particular incident really compelling. So it makes sense to me that Buffy drops her guard. I really doubt that she'd let Angel eat her, so it's more of just a test of his character, and I don't think her momentary vulnerability is at all sexist. As it turns out, Angel has morals and can't hurt her.
True love.
Though Buffy and Angel already had a connection as warriors against evil, there are now shades of a Twilight attraction.
Buffy and Angel were sort of the classic kiddie romance, Romeo and Juliet. Twilight, if you will.
There is something of a safe, sexy, dominant monster to him. Like, he's a monster, but he won't hurt me. To separate it from Twilight, though, Buffy is aware of the value of her own agency, and she chooses to be with Angel only so far as she can trust him. We see that she's more than willing to ban him from her house and her life if she thinks he's at all of a problem, and that self-respect is the true difference between Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Twilight. The Season 8 comics continuing the story after the TV show present the Buffy-Angel attraction as Slayer and Vampire instinct, based on them both being superior specimens of their species, driving them to mate and produce superior offspring. But that's a bit too social Darwinist for me. In the comics, Joss tries to please the Buffy-Angel shippers by saying that this pairing is their destiny. For me, though, Buffy and Angel are most romantic here, where it's a celebration of their agency. Common wisdom says that a Slayer and a vampire cannot get along, that they should be trying to kill each other, yet they both choose not to because they're moral people, and they like each other and choose each other to be with. Darla doesn't like that. She reveals that she's in love with Angel, but Angel no longer loves her back. The degree to which vampires are capable of feeling love is unclear. What vampires call love is sometimes indicated to be nothing more than psychopathic obsession, while sometimes it's indicated to be the real deal in a really sadistic package. It is evident that they feel some kind of positive, passionate emotion towards each other, even if it's not entirely empathetic in nature. This is the first indication we have that vampires are more than just facsimiles of people and could be capable of feeling love. The simplistic picture Giles painted of vampires as non-people has crumpled into dust, and we now recognize them as a full society, if of an inherently antagonistic nature. Buffy insults Darla in the manner of catty teen girls, insulting her for being old and supposedly starting to lose her feminine beauty. It is very much a squabble between Angel's current girlfriend and the ex-girlfriend. It's a humorous moment in that something so mundane is transplanted to an epic struggle with vampires. I just wish that Buffy could insult her without resorting to ageism and honoring the early 20s female beauty standards. Not to mention valuing her solely on her physical appearance. A similar bit of sniping between Cordelia and Lila in Angel's Season 3 Episode 6 Billy at least focuses on fashion sense as a skill as opposed to innate physical traits. It should be more like that. Darla reveals her true motives for trying to kill Buffy. It's not that she doesn't support the Master and want him to prosper, but she is personally motivated because she sees that Angel has fallen in love with her. In a parallel to Xander, she wanted to deal with her jealousy by having the object of her affection kill the competition. If Angel won't kill the Slayer, then Darla will, and she tries with a pair of pistols of all things. It makes sense. Guns kill mortals but not vampires, so she is able to up the ante on Buffy without Buffy being able to adopt the same tactic. But it is strange when compared to Joss's later dislike of guns in the Buffyverse. It illustrates popular American conceptualization of the gun as one of many neutral tools of aggression before the Columbine Massacre, which drove many Americans to fear the gun as a symbol of evil to threaten civilians. Darla shoots Angel to wound him and take him out of the fight, and she advances on Buffy. Buffy shoots her with an arrow, but she misses the heart, and for once this matters. The Scoobies hear the gunfire and run to help. Willow calls out that Darla was the one who attacked Joyce, not Angel, drawing their fire. A fight scene ensues, during which Buffy does a lot of hiding. Darla calls to her to come out and
Take it like a man.
This line was likely included as a nod to the gender role subversion represented by Buffy as the hero figure. The language is set up to acknowledge men as active figures. I've seen a guy try to use take it like a woman in the same way as take it like a man, and he was completely misinterpreted as asserting a sexist point about how women should be passive and restricted to regressive gender roles, as well as casting himself as a dominant male figure. The phrase does kind of sound like a reference to violent pornography. As a dominant vampire character, if Darla had said take it like a woman to Buffy, I think she would also be interpreted that way, even though she is also a woman. I think that the language itself, and our cultural understanding of it, is built around these patriarchal notions of men as active and women as passive, and even with the establishing premise of women as equal to men, we can't entirely get away from the language and culture presenting women as lesser than men.
So this is what it is. Talking about communication. Talking about language. Not the same thing.
Angel stumbles to an arrow and stakes Darla from behind. Despite his past life as a serial killer, he chooses Buffy over Darla, good over evil. Darla turns to dust, and Angel is officially a good guy. He slinks off in a cloud of vampire angst. When the Master learns of her death, he explodes in a violent rage. He may not have loved her in the same way that Angel and her loved each other, but to some extent, he cared about her existence. He is evil, but we now see him and all vampires differently. The Anointed One assures the Master that he has taken her place as a powerful minion, and he says that he will kill the Slayer for him, and they walk off together hand in hand like father and son. They're evil, but they're people. The next night at the Bronze, Buffy talks about her experience with Angel. The scene is presented like a wrap-up to an isolated adventure. Like most of the episodes end with characters musing about the praying mantis woman or whatever. It feels like the Angel story is over. Like Angel left, and now Buffy just muses about the possibility of her dating a vampire. Not like that would ever actually happen, though. This traditional wrap-up ending is subverted when Angel actually shows up. Xander actually handles it pretty well. He's still jealous, but he deals with his jealousy by looking away instead of complaining about Angel like he did in Teacher's Pet. Willow takes advantage of his looking away to position herself in his gaze, which is so cute and yet so sad at the same time. Buffy and Angel have a romantic little moment where they voice their concerns for the relationship on an intellectual level, but it's obvious that they intend to follow their hearts and not their heads. They kiss, and it's very sweet. Angel has a tense look on his face, and she assumes that it's some emotional issue that he's dealing with and needs to work through. She's fine with that, and it seems like everything's going to go smoothly. As she leaves, we see that her cross necklace, which Angel gave her, burned him as they kissed. He is so devoted to romance that he allowed her cross to burn him without disturbing the moment. Plus, it's symbolic of him being a vampire in love with a Slayer. And he's just gonna suffer for his love, and that's so romantic and epic. And so concludes Season 1, Episode 7, Angel. It's Romeo and Juliet with vampires and slayers, and it makes the whole Buffy world bigger and better. The whole episode is for girls, about having a crush on a boy like Angel, and about female strength as it manifests in both the traditionally feminine empathy and the traditionally masculine aggression. And ultimately, it's a fulfilling love story. Buffy and Angel are both willing to break the rules of their societies and suffer whatever comes to be together. And despite the twisted nature of the cross burning, the episode ends on a note of hope.